I was hoping that when I sat down to make my Firewall Ultra video, I'd be like, this is one of the best PSVR 2 games out there, and there's so many people that are looking to buy a headset for this game, and it's definitely worth buying. But after playing the game for 5 or 6 hours, this game has a lot of issues, and I think I'll add it to the list of games that I paid full price for this year that unfortunately I'll have to put down for a while because it just has so many problems. So I streamed this game at launch for about 2.5 hours, and on that stream there were moments that just reminded me of what made Firewall 0 Hour so good. Those moments when you're like peeking around the corner, you have your torch on and there's an enemy and you shoot them, you kill them, and then their mate comes around the corner and it's real tactical, you're talking to your teammates. And in Firewall Ultra, it still has that core loop that Firewall 0 Hour had that was so compelling, but all of the little issues get in the way of that. And I think nowadays I have different expectations of what a VR game can be. When I was first playing VR, PSVR 1, I expected a certain level of jank and certain kind of immersion breaking things that would ruin the experience slightly, but overall I was having a great time. But for every good moment you have in Firewall Ultra, there's 10 other things that get in the way, that just annoy you. The game just struggles to give you the really fun parts a lot, and rather you're kind of more wading through a load of crap to get to the good parts. It can't be that difficult. It cannot be that difficult to put me into a game. So to start, the lobbies are very buggy. Not only does it take ages to find a game, on launch day I was struggling to find a game when the game came out. Now I was playing in Europe at 4 PM, so all the Americans were either only waking up and hadn't played it, or I maybe would have had to wait till after work in American time to be able to get full lobbies. But regardless, now I've never been there for a big multiplayer launch for a VR game, but regardless of what multiplayer game I've ever played, whether it be something small like Lawbreakers or something massive like Call of Duty, it didn't really matter when I was playing it. If I logged on at launch, there was loads of people playing it and I didn't struggle to find a game. But on my stream, and even now when I'm playing it, sometimes you could be waiting 10, 15, 20 minutes for a game and you're sitting there waiting for the lobby to fill. And at some points there's 5 people over on their side, 4 people or 3 people on my side, but the lobby doesn't load, and then sometimes the lobby is full but it doesn't load, or sometimes there's 4 people on my side, 4 people on their side, but the board only reads that there's 3 people on a team. And then even when there is a full team, usually there's a 2-minute countdown, and within that 2 minutes, odds are somebody's gonna leave because it just happens because people have been waiting around for ages, which is completely understandable. And that wouldn't be an issue, as big an issue, if the lobbies, the games themselves are longer, but they're best of 3. So you win 2 rounds on the trot, and some of these games can last literally 5 or 8 minutes. So at times, you're queuing up for 15 minutes to get a game that lasts 8 minutes. And you get steamrolled by the other team, which is something that just happens. That happens in multiplayer games. Eventually, you will come up against a team that's just better than you. But when you're queuing up for 15 minutes, and you're sitting there, and you get into a game, you're so excited, and then bam, your team gets wiped out in a second, you get killed, and then they beat you on the second round. And then you have to load into the lobby again, and all the players will come, but odds are someone will leave, and then you have to wait another 10 minutes. So that's just an annoyance that can be fixed. I would like to see if they moved it to best of 5 so that the games are actually longer. I think that would alleviate this problem big time. And look, I understand this is a new multiplayer game. There will be teething problems with servers and stuff. So this is something that can be fixed going down the line. But I think there are other things in this game that can be fixed. Some can be fixed, but others are kind of fundamental to the game design that I think would be way too difficult to fix. So when it comes to the actual design of the game, one of the reasons why you play a VR game is for the immersion. And yes, this game does look gorgeous. It's a really high quality looking game. There's some janky animations, but that's to be expected with a multiplayer VR game, because you know, people will have their controller down here, the control down here, and their arms are all wrapped up. That will happen. But the game itself is really sharp, and the lighting system is fantastic. They really pushed this new lighting system that you kind of need a torch. Some of the maps are pitch black, like absolutely pitch black. You cannot see a thing, and you need a torch on your gun. And them moments are cool, but the game is designed in such a way that it's not very immersive. Yes, it looks good. You're in a VR headset, so you will be more immersed than, say, something like Call of Duty. But there is no active reload. You just press a button and it reloads. To change weapons, you change in the menu. You don't actually pick the weapon like your gun. Say your pistol is on your hip. You don't do that. And on top of that, everything that you interact with is a button. So when you go to a door, you don't actually like go up and hold the door and push it open. You just press R1 and it opens the door. When you interact with the firewall, you don't like go up and, I don't know, interact with it in a cool way. You just press R1. When you're reviving, I understand, when you're reviving, it's with R1. But nothing in the world is interactable. A lot of the glass, now it's very clearly shown that it's bulletproof glass or supposed to be bulletproof glass. And like, you can't break glass, you can't vault over things. It's very static and it does ruin the immersion. And on top of that, there's a lot of invisible walls. There's certain times when I was shooting an enemy off in the distance and I should have been able, my bullets should have been able to get to him, but for whatever reason, like say there's a railing, I should be able to shoot through the railing, but the game doesn't let you. And that's just, again, just another way to break the immersion on top of, 50 other issues that this game has. And again, it has that core loop of really fun multiplayer action, but that's just another thing that gets in the way. Now, the final two issues with this game can be fixed going forward. One of them can be fixed quite easily, actually, but there's a lot of bugs and glitches. So I actually want to talk about the snap aiming. So with the VR, with the aim controller from the PSVR 1, you never had to struggle leveling the gun. I noticed playing with two dual or sense controllers when I was playing a game like the Light Brigade or here, when you kind of have to level the gun to find the scope, it's quite finicky. And in sort of like a frantic first-person shooter, you kind of need something to alleviate that. And with the aim controller on the PSVR 1, it was easy because it was easy to level the gun. You could find the sight, that was fine. But here they actually implemented this really cool system. And I haven't played other multiplayer shooters in VR, so I don't know if this is new or not. But you hold down, it's R2 for me since I'm left-handed, but you hold down L2 and it snaps it. So it snaps the scope to the center of your screen. And I really like that system when it works. Most of the time it does work, but it's kind of centered to your offhand, but also kind of works with the eye tracking. And when I'm zooming down a scope or a red dot sight or a holographic sight, it works very well pretty much all the time, but then there's a couple of times where it doesn't. There's one time in particular on my stream when I remember it. But then with the pistols, the way it snaps to like my left eye, but it's out of my periphery, so it's really blurry, and that's a glitch. And like there's other glitches, like I'm left-handed. Randomly my gun would switch into my right hand, and the only way to change is to go into settings, change back to left-handed, and then it sorts it out. There's times when the scoreboards spawn above you, so like you're sitting there in the lobby looking for your score, but you have to look up like this and you're breaking your neck. Again, a lot of these issues can be fixed just with little bug fixes up, but I just don't think this game was ready for launch. And then on top of that, a lot of the maps are reused. I played a fair bit of 0 Hour, like maybe 20 hours of it, which was a lot for like a VR game for me. And now that was a couple of years ago, and to be honest, I can remember a lot of the maps that were in 0 Hour that were in Ultra. And I'm not 100% certain on how many new maps there were, but there's a lot of reused maps, which for the hardcore isn't good. I understand recycling maps, I think, is a great idea because some maps are fantastic. Like the maps that they give you are fantastic, but they're reused. And I would have liked to see more maps, more new maps anyway. If you're a new player, this obviously, it won't make any difference to you, but it's just a small little thing. And then the next point is on the progression, and you can fix this quite easily. But this is hands down the worst progression system I have ever seen in a multiplayer game. It's not weird, it's a normal progression system, but it's probably the most stingy progression system I have ever seen. So I have won, on my leaderboards it says I've won 26 games. I don't know how many I've played, so you could probably assume that even if I'm playing really well, I've played at least 40 games. But more than likely I'll probably have in and around a 50% win rate, so it could push closer to 50 games. So I've played quite a few games, and even at your best, you get loads of kills, you hack the laptop, you revive your teammates, you do all of the bits. I think the most I ever got was a quarter of a level in one game. And that was like the absolute pinnacle of the best gameplay that I've ever had. You get quarter of a level. Other games where they're kind of, since this game is so slow paced, and there's realistically like, you can get 4 kills in a round. You can get more if they get revived, but like 4 kills in a round, upwards of say 8 or 10 in one round. But like the amount of XP you get for getting a kill is stupid. Like, it's just ridiculous. I've played the game for like 6 hours. I've played nearly 40 games. I am level 2. Level 2. And I haven't been able to unlock anything new. I haven't been able to even unlock a skin, an attachment, a new weapon, nothing. I'm nowhere near getting something useful because all the attachments are like minimum level 7, level 8, which would mean I'd have to play hundreds of games to get one attachment, one single attachment. And then on top of that, you get crypto, which is the game's currency, which you can kind of bypass and buy an in-game currency with real money. And this is a problem. I have played I've played quite a few games, as I keep saying, and I have like 20,000 credits. The next weapon that I can buy is 100,000 credits. And there are games, a good game, you probably get 500 to 1,000 credits a game. If you have the best game and you find the crypto thing, there's basically around the world you can find little crypto deposits, and then there's a crypto mining rig that if you hack, you get crypto. But at one point, I hacked the crypto thing and I got 200 crypto. And a gun costs 100,000. A new operator costs 100,000 credits. So do the maths. That's a lot of time. But if you pay €5, you can buy one of the operators for €5. Or if you buy the digital deluxe edition, which is €20 more, you get like 2 operators, which would save you all that time, and it's ridiculous. I don't recommend this game whatsoever right now. I think in the future this can be where 0 Hour was when I got it. If they iron out the bugs, if they fix the progression, actually make it rewarding, because it's not rewarding whatsoever. I do not feel rewarded for anything I have played right now. Not only do I not get level up, not only do I not get crypto, but to get the fun moments, you have to wait in a lobby for 20 minutes. Sometimes you'll be lucky you get a lobby in 5 minutes, and there's a chance that that game could last 5 minutes, 8 minutes. Some games can last upwards of 10, maybe 15 if they go long, but there just needs to be a lot of balance and fixing. This game could have benefited and would have benefited and should have had a beta. That they could have ironed all this out beforehand. They could have ironed out the progression. They could have ironed out the reward system. They could have ironed out the servers. The party system doesn't work very well. Pretty much every single person I've sat in a lobby with, since it's VR, a lot of people are using headsets and they're talking. And every single conversation is, I can't invite my friend to a lobby. When we try to join a game, it doesn't work. These load times or the lobby times are awful. And then you just hear people moaning because somebody left the lobby that we've been waiting in for 8 minutes. And it's a widespread issue. Right now, do not buy this game. Wait a couple of months at the very least. I'll probably do an update because I want this game to succeed. I want to have a game that I sit down and I play on my PSVR once or twice a week, dip in and out for 5 games, have a load of fun because the fun is there. But right now, there are just so many issues with this game. Do not buy it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Subscribe, follow Twitter, join the Discord. I'll have a review for Armored Core 6 soon enough, hopefully. The game's very difficult, so it might take me some time. So I appreciate you watching. Goodbye.